what you got to do, right?
What's going on? Do what you gotta do. How's everything?
Good. Yeah, everything's all right over here. How about you?
Good. Hanging in there with the snow.
Have you had
Happy
time?
Team
Have you
USA
had
won.
more time to read or less time to read with snow days and whatnot?
Um, Probably less, but not substantially less.
I would say less, but also the sports calendar has been light, so more.
I
Less during the
basically only
day.
read on the train now. I read on the train and try
Not
and read
really.
before bed.
Um,
And
I usually get a lot done when I'm watching some game at night.
I feel like that's the only time Monica and I can hang. So if I'm just
Ah,
cracking
yeah.
books in her
You guys do
face,
like a show or
well
something.
done.
Yeah,
It's like,
wouldn't it be the best if your nose was in a book when you're
yeah,
trying
hold up. Teddy Roosevelt's leading the San Juan Hill Charge.
to.
About to get smacked. It's gonna be a rough ride for your boy. Let's get into it. I'm excited to talk about this book.
Yeah.
To Rescue the American Spirit, Brett Baier. To Rescue the American Spirit is a biography of Theodore Roosevelt that focuses on how his leadership reshaped presidency and revitalized national confidence during a turbulent era in American history. Brett Baier presents Roosevelt as a reformer who believed the presidency should be an active moral force. Rising from a sickly childhood to become a war hero, a New York reformer, a president, and ultimately the youngest president in U.S. history, Roosevelt championed what he called the square deal: fairness for workers, consumers, and businesses alike.
Have you read any other biographies about him? I think you mentioned one other one.
I watched a biography series on Hulu. I meant to look it up before this episode started. It's the name is it's kind of like a pay by numbers
Yeah.
biography, but it's just gives you the highlights, similar to what this book does, which I thought was very good. It's almost like a Richard Dreyfuss like guy plays Teddy Roosevelt,
Okay.
but I thought it was really good, and I liked him a lot more post documentary. It's a series, it's probably 3 episodes, hour each, with reenactments, taking you basically cradle to grave, as this book does. So it hits the same highlights that this book. This book does a little bit more Panama Canal than that book did,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
love the character, love the man.
I would say there's probably other biographies that are what you would expect more so. So more of like the um, lengthy, less storytelling type biographies. I thought this one was excellent. It
It
shortened
was
things.
so enjoyable.
Yeah, it shortened things up in a perfect way. Didn't leave anything out. I guess just because of timing, there was a lot of firsthand information. So a lot of letters that were quoted, a lot of speeches that he actually had on hand, a lot of, I guess you could call it firsthand accounts, which I guess you just don't have as much. So if you're looking at like John Adams or Thomas Jefferson or something like that.
Hmm.
So I guess that helped that this was only 120 years ago, but I thought it was awesome and definitely one of the best political biographies I've ever read.
It was readable. It was straightforward. It was lengthy without being verbose.
Yeah.
It was and spanned his entire life. It does get a little breezy at some point just because the man did so much. Like there's 3 pages on his trip to Africa, and he's like, it's a wild for a president to be
Yeah.
spend a year in Africa killing 500 animal. Like
Yeah. And that's kind of what I liked about it also because I
it's
bet you
he
there.
was conservationalist. They do
Yeah,
like 3 pages on setting up the national park.
that's what I'm saying. There are probably other biographies about him that are like 1,000 pages who go into maybe a lot more
Yeah,
detail about things. I think this summed it up and really dove more into just his nature, his philosophy, kind of who he was and what he did, big picture.
it sounds like a criticism or that I'm being flippant, but it's kind of the best president, like a eighth grade presidential report of all time. Like
Yeah,
if you were in an eighth grade class and you're presenting like, hey, this is the president, this is the best one possible.
yeah, I'm with
It's
you.
not like, oh, his policies and the like it was this had this effect. It was like, hey, he did this, he did this, he did this. Let me teach you, Rough Riders.
At the same time, it was a lot that I didn't know. Granted, I haven't really read anything about him or seen anything before. A lot of it was what I didn't know. A lot of it was new to me. So yeah, it wasn't like the same information that you would expect or maybe you've heard before. It was a lot of unique stuff and a lot of rumors or ideas that you had about Roosevelt that came to be. So where things came from, so where lines from his speeches came from, where some of his attributes came from, looking back on his family and stuff like that. There's
Mm-hmm.
good detail about that.
How about his wife and his mom dying on the same day?
Yeah,
Brutal.
didn't know,
Valentine's Day.
had no idea about that, and he was like dedicated to both of them. I thought that was crazy about his family life. I thought him not being a great father to his first daughter was pretty negative about him, like
Yeah.
significantly so. Uh,
Alice. Yeah.
yeah, but then their relationship came back and turned a different way later on in the political sphere. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I knew about his childhood having issues. I didn't know to the extent though.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know
You
about
kind of
all his
understand that he was
sons.
like a very rambunctious, ebullient child, but he's was sickly and was
Yeah,
asthmatic and was had poor vision and just made himself into a vivacious character.
I had heard about that in the past, and I always thought it was blown up to make his ascent seem even stronger. So he overcame these incredible obstacles. But no, it probably was serious. It probably was difficult to deal with. I always thought that was more of a political overcoming the
Yeah,
odds
I see what you're saying.
type story. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like there's a kernel of truth there, but he sprained his
Yeah,
ankle.
yeah, he had asthma. He had some coughs, and he was running around like the other 6-year-olds. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I love the story of him like not having the White House. I think it was like basically the like the physician or phys ed teacher for his kids, making sure he doesn't take it easy on him during the boxing
yeah,
lessons.
yeah.
That was
Yeah,
awesome.
that was one of the people I think they interviewed and got quotes from. It was his boxing coach. He actually had a boxing coach come and do like athletics with him, which I thought was cool too.
I think boxing as like an actual thing you do in school, and it's actually touched on a little bit in future book that we'll do. Like boxing as an activity, an academic activity, is so cool.
Well, I love that they compared. So what he did, he boxed for exercise. The president who came after him, Taft,
Yeah,
golfed
yeah,
excessively, and then he was like the first president to golf excessively, and now they all do. You don't see any
yeah.
presidents boxing anymore.
If a president was into boxing, I think it'd be such a political plus for him. It'd be so cool.
Oh yeah, if legitimately so, like did it
Legitimately
for
so,
the
not
exercise to get, yeah,
faking it.
yeah,
Legitimately so, yeah,
not
it'd be very cool.
doing little punching classes, but actually getting,
No, if you
yeah,
won like like I think they still do Golden Gloves competitions. Like if a president was like, yeah, when I was 22, I won Golden Gloves. I still do it for exercise.
former
Like
clubs, yeah,
it'd be so sick. It would be so cool.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he's I could see why he's so highly regarded from a presidential standpoint. But it wasn't like he had the greatest, 8 consecutive years or anything like that. He came in as a vice president when his presidents passed away.
McKinley
So he
was yeah,
came in for that time period. Yeah. Then yeah, he did win outright himself, and yeah, it was kind of a runaway or stuff like that. But he wasn't he. I guess we look back on him with brighter eyes because it,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't a unanimous across the board country was with him and everyone wanted him. He definitely had a lot of enemies out there, and there was definitely a lot of people who were against him. Or it doesn't seem like that today, looking back on it.
And he definitely did step off the stage once he relinquished the presidency. He ran again as part of the Bull Moose ticket, taking votes away from Taft, which led to
Wilson.
the Woodrow Wilson winning and winning twice. And even before he died, the Republicans were trying to get him to run again.
Could give it another go. Yeah,
He died when he was 59 or 60.
yeah.
He did so much in his life, and he died
I
as
know.
a kid.
It's kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy. Like, oh my god! And he
Everything
wanted.
work, fighting
He's like,
overseas
he told his daughter that, okay, I want to work so hard until you're
until
60, and then after that, we'll
Did you
see.
put a number on it? Was it 60 or
Yes,
was
it was
it
60.
60? Yeah.
I think he like turned 60 the year he died.
Yeah.
I love his. He's very quotable. All his quotes are so like, go out and get it, try, strive. You know, if you attempt, that's better than not trying at all.
Yeah, it's all on you. Work
Man,
hard.
he
Go
literally
for it.
started manning the arena. He did like, hey, Spirt to surround yourself with those who have tried and failed and those who didn't try at all. But he's very well educated and has a great
Yeah.
voice to those quotes are very resonant.
I forgot what the main was that he attributed to his father, something that his father always said that stuck with him. I forget what it was. But it's something along those same lines. Like, you can do it on your own. Like, you can do it yourself. Go for it. And even his father said when he was young, he was looking into a career of like botany or
Yeah.
whatever it was, and he basically said, "Yeah, go for it. Like, you could do it all. Just know that you're not going to live the same life. Know that your life will be different with that choice. It's a fine choice." He didn't try and talk him out of it, but he kind of gave him the truth, gave him the facts.
That was a super interesting part of the book, knowing where his conservation roots started and how he had like 200 samples in his summer house in his room, and his brother's like, I don't want to really sleep in here
As a
anymore.
kid. Yeah.
He was obsessive. He was definitely had some obsessive qualities to him.
Yeah.
Probably to the detriment of his family, because he definitely picked up and left when his wife and mother died and went to South Dakota to be a rancher and to hunt buffalo, and kind of left his daughter with his sister.
Yeah, it got confusing for a little bit. She was with somebody who didn't like her, but then she was with the sister. But then when I think he got remarried, that wife didn't like her.
Yeah, and his sister I think his sister did like her.
Yeah, because she basically, from
She was like a 4-year-old girl.
Yeah.
How about when what was I going to say? The Rough Riders. It was like half Harvard and Yale guys and half like West Texas ranchers.
Yeah, how is there not more movies about that? You could put such a cast together.
You could. I wonder if there's a movie about Charge Up San Juan Hill.
There's got to be. I mean, I'm sure I'm just forgetting it, but yeah, how is that not something you could put any like Hollywood cast together for that, and people would jump at it, I think.
Yeah, that's something that the documentary I watched touched upon, how he kind of lives his life leaning towards being a war hawk and kind of.
Well, I think he lived the first part of his life to do that because he needed to kind of prove to himself, and he wanted to put himself in a position that he could lead from the front and then go on to other things. So, for example, if he didn't have that war experience, I don't think he would have thought himself as qualified for leadership government positions. It seemed like that was a check he needed to do first before he started anything else.
But even in World War I, he wanted to contribute to the war effort.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that is a good point too.
And it's sad that his son dies as a pilot.
One of them, right? And then he has two other ones who got through it. Yeah.
Is anything you did not like about Teddy Roosevelt?
The thing with the abandoning your child and going fully across the country, that wasn't great. I felt like he was a little bit, well, he definitely was temperamental, and he took things super personally, which you would think is not a great attribute for a politician. But it served him well when it did. It served him poorly when it didn't, especially towards like that end. So after his presidency, when he was still trying to stay afloat and stay involved, not that it was getting embarrassing, but at the same time, it was like he was trying to grasp for something that he couldn't attain again.
Well, he gets shot, and it goes into his like metal glass case, and it goes into his like doubled over, like folded in half,
Yeah,
50-page speech. So it goes through 100 pages, and he's giving the speech. It takes a lot more to bring Bull Moose down, which is totally him.
that's the good stuff. Yeah, that's the stuff that you could write a movie about. But then he lost,
He
and
lost
and
and
he
hurt
took
your
it
party
pers-
because you split the votes,
yeah,
and
and he
the
took it
Democrat won.
personally, and they didn't get into too much detail, but apparently the competition between him and Taft got ugly. Like they were good buds, best buds, and then they turned on each other, and it was ugly. So there was that, I don't want to say pettiness, but that political competition that brings the worst out of people.
Well, I kind of don't blame Taft because he did the same thing to McKinley. When McKinley was assassinated, Teddy's like, I can't run the country like another man would have. I have to do it
Do it my own
the
way.
way I know best.
Yeah,
That's kind of what Taft did. It seemed like Taft might have had some more
he just
big
wasn't.
business interests.
Yeah, Taft just wasn't the man's man that Roosevelt saw himself as.
Yeah, but you're like, hey, I'm gonna only run for this. I'm gonna give up after this term. I'm gonna hand it over. He's gonna do it just like I did. Like,
Yeah, I
no,
think it was. Yeah, I
you
think
know
he
how
was.
to
He,
play.
he had a my way or the highway attitude, and just. I think he believed so deeply that what he was doing it was right. He couldn't comprehend that people would do it differently.
Yeah, he definitely seems a bit reckless. He's not exactly. I wouldn't describe him as calculating.
No, yeah, I wouldn't say that either.
Like he's like picking fights in the New York Assembly. He's the charge. He's the the last excursion in the Amazon.
Yeah,
I'm
for
like,
what? For what
it's
reason?
never been charted.
Yeah,
I would also say I do like how he expanded. He recognized that America had a place on the world stage. First president to go abroad. Panama, Panama Canal seemed like looks now like a great decision. Peace between Russia and Japan, which he got the Nobel Peace Prize for. I don't know how much he contributed to that. We don't.
yeah. I don't remember. I don't remember hearing about that as much or reading about it at all or anything like that. I think just because it was kind of the timing of it, sandwiched right before First World War, it kind of gets up to the rug.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he dealt with that forcefully, I would say, which was his way.
I definitely want to read a book about the Russian Revolution, and that's one of the first thing that brings down Tsar Nicholas is losing the battle against Japan so terribly.
Yeah, they covered this a little bit, but I would definitely be interested in doing something that delves into that deeper. I mean, it did kind of talk about him in the book how he was kind of nonchalant about everything, wasn't
Mm-hmm.
looking to do a deal, wasn't really taking action, which was the opposite of probably what Roosevelt expected or would have done in his shoes. But yeah, we could dive into that.
Overall, I really liked it. I thought it was a really good book. It was each chapter was contained to basically a stage of his life, gave you enough information to give you a full picture, but not. Have you heard about this series about Lyndon B. Johnson? That's like 4 volumes and each like
No,
2,000
yeah,
pages.
yeah. No, I've read some of like the long ones. I think John Meacham was one of the authors, and those ones take like a month of heavy duty reading to kind of get through, and they're good. They're entertaining and everything. But this one was, like I said before, this is probably the best political biography I've read because it was everything I wanted. I wanted to learn about him. I wanted to learn about his presidency. I didn't want to take a month to do it, and I didn't have to, take a test afterwards where you have to know all the details and the facts. It was just entertaining enough to keep you going, and you remember the important things.
It's a very interesting person written in a very engaging way, which makes for an excellent book.
Yeah, we should
That's
check
my
into this author. We should check into this author more so and see what else he did.
You know who Brett Baier is, right?
No,
Oh, really?
yeah, no. I just
Oh,
found
he's
this just like popped up on one of my lists. I knew nothing about him.
he's a news commentator on Fox.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he writes it with co-author who very talented. So
That's
maybe
usually the
with what
case.
I think I have it right here.
It's probably that person who deserves more of the
Catherine
credit.
Whitney. Yeah, so we can see what she does too.
Yeah, that's usually I feel like that person is usually the one who deserves more of the credit.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe we'll follow up on that then.
All right. Yeah, let's give the scores. I think it's going to be, quite high. Tough grader, but this is your book, so you give it first.
Yeah. Let's go 9-2. I'll go 8-9.
Wow, I was going to say 8-8. I like it. That's
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
that's got to be our closest.
I would say so. Yeah, this was exactly kind of the book that we wanted to be reading, should be reading for this.
Bingo. Totally agree.
Again, a big name, big person, but easy read, clean read, fun read. Just gets you what you want to do.
Awesome. Next book up, we have Sun Also Rises.
Yeah, that's a
Very
big change of pace, but similar-ish time frame, number one,
Yeah.
and similar type characters of, well, the author, Hemingway, obviously, and Roosevelt are, I would say, a very similar type of guy.
Yeah, they get along.
There is quite a connection there, actually.
Is there any history that their paths crossed, or but they're just very man's man, hunting in Africa, fought in wars?
I was kind of thinking about it. I couldn't see it. I couldn't make the connection. I tried to think about something in Cuba, but I think Hemingway was in Cuba much later.
I would agree.
I don't think so. Maybe Roosevelt would have read one of his earliest books or earliest writings.
Articles. I think it was
Articles or short stories or something like that. Maybe, but I don't think there was any other connection.
Yeah. And then we're kind of set up for our next books, but we'll unveil them as we read. You want to do quick Team USA? You got anything else you want to? How's
Team USA? Yeah. I watched. So the biggest detriment to me was I was watching most of it not live, so that was annoying.
That is annoying.
And
you record it and watch it much later, or did you just?
No, I was watching like the second broadcast on USA or whatever it was at 8:00.
8 p.m.
Yeah.
Oh, so you knew what happened?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That does suck.
Yeah, that sucked. And there was no avoiding it. You couldn't not look at your phone or see something online or whatever.
Yeah, those days are gone.
I don't remember that being as much of an issue for Olympics past, but I guess it always was.
I feel like with so many more notifications and
maybe that's what it is. Yeah, maybe I just wasn't attuned to it as much.
Yeah. I got up and was in front of the TV, coffee in hand for puck drop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that was the game everyone needed to be. But I'll tell you, my new favorite watching, well, not favorite watching, but it's up there, was the cross country guy. That Norwegian who won 6 gold medals. I forgot his name.
Is this the guy he was like earlier in the Olympics where they just said like he's got like a VO2 max like out of this world and he's like an absolute machine.
It must be Klabo was his name. Klabo. Yeah.
Who's the perfect name for the guy?
Just ridiculously good looking, 29 years old, unbelievably athletic, the greatest Winter Olympian of all time. He's got more gold medals than anybody. And I watched his races doing cross country, which is like miles and miles and miles, and he made it interesting and exciting, which is very, very difficult to do.
I was watching, so we watched the gold medal game at our house, and then we go over to my mother-in-law's, like my kids' grandparents, for a breakfast either Saturday or Sunday, depending on like scheduling. And so we went over after the game, and then after the medal ceremony for the hockey team, cross-country skiing came on, and it said 50K.
Mm-hmm.
And like, as like someone who like has run a little bit, like 50K.
Yeah, that was the women's 50.
Yeah, I was like, this is going to be long. This is going to be I mean, a marathon is 42K. So you're doing like almost 30 miles.
And I think it's hours.
We're freezing a little bit. Let's see if it comes back on, or else we can just sign off. You got anything?
Nah. All right, we'll call it there before this
Sketches out. Calling it. All right, time to go to bed.
Yeah.